What's up, dude? Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Carlee and I do true crime videos. They normally only last about 10 minutes. I try to give you the important information of these specific cases. I really try hard to find cases that aren't super well known just because I think it's fun to hear different stuff, you know? We hear about the same, 10 to 15 murder cases or serial killers and that's super interesting, but there's a lot more that's happening out there, and I just try really hard to bring light to some of those smaller cases, or like I said, just maybe cases that we haven't heard a ton about. Today we are going to be talking about Phil Hartman. He's a very interesting guy. This is sort of a different one, so let's just get into it. Phil Hartman was born Philip Edward Hartman on September 24th, 1948 in Brantford, Ontario, which is interesting because I literally just did another video that was set in Brantford. He was the middle child of 8 children, and his parents, Doris, Margaret, and Rupert Leobig Hartman, sold building materials. His parents weren't overly affectionate people, and Phil felt like he had to work to earn their affection, and then eventually he would just go elsewhere to earn affection because that's what people need. When he was 10 years old, his family moved to the United States. They first lived in Maine and then Connecticut, where Phil went to Westchester High School, where he was the class clown. After finishing high school, Phil went on to study art at Santa Monica City College, but dropped out in 1969 to be a roadie for a rock band. 3 years later, he went back to school at California State University, Northridge, and studied graphic arts. He owned and operated his own graphic art business and created more than 40 album covers for bands. In the late 70s, he was on an episode of The Dating Game, which was his first TV appearance, and he actually won the game, which is very interesting because there is another well-known serial killer who was on The Dating Game and won. While Phil was working as a graphic artist, he would frequently make up voices to keep himself entertained because he was working alone. So I have a degree in graphic design. And yeah, I know that it can be very lonely work if you are freelance and don't work for a larger company, if you just do things on your own, because you don't really need to talk to people. That's why a lot of introverts actually go into graphic design because a lot of stuff is just sent through email. There isn't a ton of face-to-face interaction, so that's why it's a perfect job for introverts, which could be said for Phil. He started going to comedy classes to try to be more social and to harbor his creative talents. His first on-screen role was in the 1978 stunt rock movie that was from Australia. From his first role, Phil became friends with Paul Reubens, and the two of them came up with the Pee Wee Herman character. So we have Phil to thank for creepy Pee Wee Herman. I can't stand him. He creeps me out so bad. Phil played the character Captain Carl on the show. Phil and Paul made cameos on Cheech and Chong's next movie. He almost quit the entertainment industry when he was 36 after not seeing much success and not getting very big roles. However, Pee-wee's Big Adventure changed his mind. He then had some small roles in Jumpin' Jack Flash and The Three Amigos. So the Pee Wee Herman movie did end up being a fairly big movie, so that's why he was like, no, you know what, I'm actually just gonna stick with this, I think. Phil voiced characters in The Smurfs, The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, and Dennis the Menace. He then went on to be casted on Saturday Night Live, starting in the 12th season in 1986. Adam Sandler gave him the nickname Glue. However, in 1994, Phil left the show due to the turnover of the cast. He said that he felt like he was an MLB player, but was seeing all of his other teammates going on to play in the World Series. He just wasn't seeing the success that some of his other castmates were seeing, and that was really hard on him. So that's why he felt like he needed to get out of it and go and find something bigger to do. After SNL, he starred in the NBC sitcom News Radio in 1985. The show was on the air for 4 seasons, and it had been picked up for a 5th season. On The Simpsons, Phil voiced numerous different characters starting in 1991, and then worked until 1998. He was in 52 episodes, and his first season that he was on was season 2, and the first episode was Bart gets hit by a car. Phil's personality was described as a regular guy and by all accounts one of the show business's most low-key decent people. In his personal life, he was married to Gretchen Lewis in 1970 and then divorced in 1972. 10 years later, he married real estate agent Lisa Strain in 1982, and that marriage only lasted for 3 years. But Lisa said that he was a reclusive person when he wasn't working and would disappear emotionally. He'd be in his own world, and that passivity made you crazy. In 1987, Phil went on to marry Bryn O'Dall after meeting on a blind date the year before. Bryn was a former model and aspiring actress. Together, they had 2 children, Sean and Bergen. Reportedly, Bryn was intimidated about Phil's success and the fact that she was struggling to find any of her own work. She was jealous and often verbally and or physically abusive. Bryn had even sent a letter to Phil's second wife threatening to rip Lisa's eyes out if she spoke to him again. Phil had tried to help Bryn get acting roles, but she had developed an alcohol and narcotics dependency. So that was kind of, hurting her career as well. She had tried rehab many times, and there were many occasions where Phil would get the kids out of the house while Bryn was having an outburst due to drugs or alcohol. Joe Rogan and Phil had gotten to be friends while he was on news radio, and Joe had encouraged Phil to divorce Bryn after hearing about the couple's troubles. On May 27th, 1998, Bryn went to an Italian restaurant, Buca di Beppo in Encino, California, with producer and writer Christine Zander. The 2 of them were friends, so that's why they were going out. She had a couple drinks, but Christine said that she was in a good frame of mind. However, after she got home, she and Phil had a heated argument before Phil went to bed. Still angry, Bryn went into the bedroom sometime before 3 a.m. and shot Phil once between the eyes, once in the throat, and then once in the upper chest. I think that's why they say you should never go to bed mad. Bad joke, sorry. She used a .38 caliber handgun. After Phil was murdered, she drove to her friend Ron Douglas's house and confessed to him that she had just murdered Phil. However, he didn't believe her. So the 2 of them drove back to the house in separate cars, and while driving, she called another friend and once again confessed to the murder. After walking into the scene, Ron called 911 at 6:20 a.m. After the police arrived, they escorted Ron and Phil's 2 kids off of the premises. While the police were doing that, Bryn locked herself into the bedroom. Shortly after, she died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The police said that Phil's death was caused by domestic discord between the couple, which, yeah, I'd say that's pretty true. One of Bryn's friends said that she had trouble controlling her anger and that she got attention by losing her temper. She sounds like a narcissist. Bryn's sister, Catherine Omdahl, and brother-in-law, Mike Wright, got custody of the kids and raised them. Phil's will made it clear that each kid would get money over several years after they turned 25. Phil was estimated to have a $1.23 million estate. Phil and Bryn were cremated by Forest Lawn Memorial Park and Mortuary in Glendale, California. Their ashes had been scattered over Santa Catalina Islands, Emerald Bay. Bryn and Phil also have headstones right next to each other, which I find to be very strange because she murdered him. However, that's neither here nor there because this was, a long time ago and I had no say in it, but I just think that is super, super strange. But that is today's case for me. Be sure to comment down below how you guys feel about this. Overall, what you think. If you think there's anything more into the case, that maybe just wasn't talked about, make sure to comment down below because I like when you guys comment and add to cases, like facts that maybe I just didn't mention. So that is it for me today. I hope you guys have a great day and make sure to like and subscribe. And I will be back tomorrow with another True Crime Courier video. I think I'm going to start trying to post at 10 a.m. and just see if that time works better for people. I'm always trying to change and adjust and just find when the sweet spot is to post. So comment down below if there's a time that you happen to prefer. Stay safe out there. Bye guys.